New Atlantis. I've spent a lot of time here. It's safe, clean, comfortable. You know, all good reasons to leave and explore wildly hostile worlds.
Hell of a city, isn't it? There's nowhere else like it in the galaxy.
Welcome back to the pride and joy of the UC. Hello, New Atlantis.
I have never quite been able to think of New Atlantis as home. Though I suppose I should.
It always feels like I'm on some sort of vacation when I'm here. We could get food at a restaurant like fancy people if you want.
Will we be stopping for food? I would not mind trying something, and there are plenty of options.
While we're here, it wouldn't hurt if we checked in at the lodge.
I may not be enamored of the United Colonies or this city, but I cannot deny this is a lovely place.
New Atlantis is gorgeous, but it's all built on lies.
New Atlantis is the shining beacon of humanity these days, so they say. I'd argue that the beacon of humanity should be measured in our overall survival, though.
Mind if we stop by the waterfall on this trip? I could use a few moments to unwind.
Would you look at that? This place is something else. Been stationed here for years now, and I'm always finding something new.
New Atlantis makes me think that humanity's future is brighter than not.
So, we eating at the Sagebrook, or is it just a quick snap from the Terra Brew?
Do you have a favorite restaurant here? Mine is currently Whetstone, but it changes.
Every time I return, it seems like the city's a bit more crowded.
Security here is so visible. I suppose it makes people more comfortable. Most people, anyway.
When a settlement looks so peaceful and secure, it starts to become a target. I guess that's why New Atlantis and even Cydonia have as much security as they do.
I barely ever visited here before I joined Constellation. We here for the lodge?
And the crowds of New Atlantis don't make me uncomfortable exactly. But it does feel domestic in some way. Normal. Controlled. It makes me antsy.
I think I prefer the wild planets to this city. At least there, the predators are easier to spot.
Oh, I love breathing in the air here. You'd imagine it would smell like any other city, but it smells tranquil. If that makes sense. Like the air carries a dash of herbal tea with it.
New Atlantis is pretty awesome. Even I gotta admit that.
New Atlantis puts on a wonderful show of security, does it not? The city certainly projects a powerful image for the United Colonies, eh?
I will say this. New Atlantis is a good place to raise kids.
When humanity left Earth, I bet most of them were worried we'd never find another planet like it again. I wonder how they felt when they landed on Jemison.
Painful memories or not. It's good to be home.
I don't want to like it, but I gotta admit, New Atlantis is classy.
Hard to underscore the impressive architecture of New Atlantis, right? I've been here hundreds of times, and it never ceases to amaze me.
If it were not for the lodge, I think I would avoid this city. It is all just too much.
Hey, let me know if we're going to head into the well, so I can watch your back.
The bright lights and reflections are almost enough to make you forget about those living down in the well.
The well might not look like much, but most of the people down here are simply good, hard-working folks just trying to make a living.
Even in New Atlantis, we have people just barely making it by. We've got a long way to go to reach utopia.
Very different from the life above ground. It says much about New Atlantis, the United Colonies at large.
The public face of the United Colonies.
Hey, can we skip the local chunks this time? Never agrees with my stomach.
So many people, all in one place. I still cannot feel entirely comfortable.
I gotta admit, I miss the old girl, New Atlantis.
While we're here, let's swing by Centaurian so I can pick up some ammo.
If the lodge wasn't here, I probably wouldn't be here all that often. Don't get me wrong, New Atlantis is lovely. It's just sort of predictable.
Neon's got nothing on New Atlantis.
Is the city meant to inspire or intimidate? Perhaps it depends on your reason for being here.
Let's pop into Outland while we're here, and see if Joe has anything useful to add to our arsenal.
SSNN is supposed to be impartial, but I think the UC's got a finger on the scale there. Or a whole hand.
Did you know I used to have an office near the top of mast? How far the mighty have fallen, eh?
Every time I get near mast, I think they're going to arrest me. There's a co there. Get him, boys.
Ah, the lodge. There was a time when Irvin met me here and launched directly into a tiresome essay about plants. I'd give anything to hear it one more time.
It's good to be home. Every time I return here, I'm reminded of the importance of Constellation's contributions to exploration.
It's good to be back.
I find comfort in the idea that the odds of something killing us here are at an all-time low.
Ah, there's nothing more beautiful than seeing all those books.
Walter spends a fortune to maintain the lodge, but I'd say it's worth every credit.
Exploration still lives as long as the lodge is still standing.
If nothing else, Constellation does have excellent lodging.
This place is a delightful relic tangled up with hope, grit, and science.
As much as I'm eager to explore the universe, there's nothing quite like the feeling of returning home.
I do not spend as much time here as some of the others, but I appreciate that I was still given my own room.
I sometimes still can't believe I got my own room here. I keep thinking they'll one day say it was all an elaborate practical joke.
I am glad to be back. It will be good to have a moment to relax.
I don't believe in luck per se, but I do realize how fortunate I am to be a part of all of this.
I can't think of a better place to recharge and ready ourselves for our next mission.
We are fortunate that Walter has used his considerable funds to maintain the lodge, are we not?
I wonder how much Walter pays in property tax on this baby.
It's an honor to just be here. It's even more of an honor to be welcomed as family.
Look at this place. It's just as we left it. You know, I've often wondered who keeps the lodge so meticulously clean.
This place is a beacon to science, to history, to humanity.
Smell that? I would bottle that up if I could. Musty old books, a bit of motor oil, and history.
I am still getting used to this place. It does not quite feel like home, but hopefully someday.
Welcome home.
I don't mind bunking on the ship, but nothing is better than unwinding in your own quarters.
This here's the closest thing Cora has to home. Not bad, right?
Even on my worst days, returning to this place made me feel better.
While we're here, perhaps we should check in with Matteo or Noel.
I still can't believe this place exists sometimes.
It sometimes amuses me to think about what goes on here, right under the United Colonies' collective nose.
I wonder if any discovery reports have come in while we were away.
So much history in these halls. And if we're lucky, we'll be adding some more.
I may not quite enjoy New Atlantis, but this is much better.
The lodge. It'll always remind me of Irvin. That used to only make me sad, but now it's a memory of love and peace. How different would my life be if I had never stepped foot in this place? I wonder.
Back again. Who do you think will be the first to ask us questions? Matteo or Noel?
Constellation. It's always nice to come home.
Home sweet home. Or bittersweet home, I suppose.
I wonder what has happened while we have been away.
I'm not a fan of the UC, but this here, it's a little patch of heaven.
Now that we're here, perhaps we could spend a bit of time relaxing rather than planning?
Let us see how Vladimir is faring.
I still can't believe that Sarah was able to convince Mast to let go of this station. And Vladimir has done so much work on it since then that even Mast must be impressed.
Haven't set foot on the Eye for ages. Hope Vladimir is in a good mood today.
It'll be good to see Vladimir. I wonder if he's found anything.
Akila City. It looks like a quaint town, but it's got problems as big as any other city.
Home sweet home. Hope no one recognizes me here.
Quite a long history to this place. It is a testament to humans' refusal to concede defeat in the face of adversity.
Sam has told me so many stories about Akila City. I feel as though I've lived here all my life.
I spent so little time here these days, kind of miss it.
This city is so large, yet retains a sort of rustic feel. I find it comforting.
In 200 years, they've come a long way. I wonder what this place will look like in another 200 years.
Not many places older than Akila. But this... old stories, old planet.
Akila would be a quaint world to retire on, if the damn wildlife wasn't so hostile. I heard that the walls of Akila City were built to prevent nocturnal predators from overrunning the place.
Outside the wall, things get dicey. Ashta are no joke. Even for us.
I went through a brief period where I thought it might be exciting to be a professional Ashta hunter. A very, very brief period.
The hostility of the wildlife here is legendary. One wonders if it's so hostile because of chance, or because it had to be to exist in the environment itself.
You would think that deadly predators would have driven off settlers. Humans. We can be so stubborn.
Considering everything they're up against, Akila City has done well for itself. It's got the necessities and it's safe. That's impressive.
A modern city with walls. Quite a throwback, wouldn't you agree?
Walls might seem like an ancient solution, but honestly, it's no different than a suit around our bodies or a ship protecting us from space. It's the primary solution to hostile surroundings.
Expansion must be very difficult for Akila, with the native wildlife being what it is.
Why anyone would want to live somewhere so... old is beyond me.
Certainly less auspicious than New Atlantis, is it not?
Yeah, Akila City. Let's make this quick. Spent most of my life trying to escape this place.
I wonder how many people would leave here given the chance. Go somewhere more hospitable, a bit safer. I bet someone makes it hard for them to leave.
Not exactly New Atlantis, eh? Free for 200 years and this city is the best the collective can come up with?
If more and more people flock to the Freestar Collective, does that not just make it more like the United Colonies?
Akila City is a tribute to human tenacity. You can't help but be impressed with what they've done in order to survive.
I wonder what Solomon would think of this place now.
Funny how Akila City reminds me of Neon, with the wealth planted in the middle and the poor at the periphery.
Once I heard Sam tell a wild story about Akila City. Sounded like some sort of old-fashioned ancient frontier story.
These people claim to be independent, yet they still crowd together behind walls.
You should ask Sam about Akila sometime. He has some pretty amazing stories to tell.
I know Akila City rather well, perhaps better than I would like.
Irvin visited Akila City once to consult with them about the local wildlife. Options were pretty dire at the time. He always wanted to return to help more. Oh, well.
Good old Akila City. One thing I'll say is it's better than the UC.
If we're planning on staying a while, we could grab a room at the Stone Root Inn.
We should be on our guard if we venture outside the city. The Ashta are quite formidable.
I wonder why Solomon named this place Akila. You'd think I know the answer to that, but I don't.
Would it be too much to ask if we stopped by Laredo Firearms and took a look around?
Laredo strikes a good balance between form and function. Their reputation is well deserved.
Laredo makes some of the most dependable firearms money can buy. If they're good enough for the Freestar Rangers, they should be good enough for us.
Russia's doing well for herself. Laredo is a big player in arms manufacture.
I respect people who want to make this place work in spite of the odds. They could go to an easy world and tend flowers all day, but the struggle to exist fuels them here.
Keep your sidearm handy. Parts of town can get rough.
I would not mind stopping at the Laredo storefront. I appreciate their craftsmanship.
Just promise me we ain't going to visit Jacob, all right?
There's Sam's family museum. Wonder if I can get a mug or something with his face on it.
Ah, yes, the Co-Heritage Museum. I've heard quite a bit about this place. Sam has let it slip on more than one occasion.
The people of Akila should be proud of all that they have endured and accomplished. This museum is quaint, but well deserved.
I wonder if Solomon Cole would have wanted that statue. I bet it creeps Sam out.
From what I know of Solomon Coe, I do not believe he did anything with an expectation of recognition or attention.
That statue always feels like it's judging me. Not kindly, either.
It's a shame Solomon Coe lived before our time. I'd wager he would have been a perfect fit for Constellation.
The smell of lumber, crops, and... chunks? Yes, that is chunks.
Chunks is such an eyesore in Akila. But, well, I can go for some chunks.
There are two certainties in this universe: death and eating at a Chunks restaurant. And to be honest, death is almost preferable.
I spent a lot of my misspent youth in Aggies. Watch your back. And your wallet.
I spent significant time here meeting with smugglers. Brings back memories.
I don't know what's wrong with me, but Neon might be my favorite place to visit.
Ah, Neon. The house that Aurora has built.
See that shroud covering Neon? Believe it or not, you're looking at the only city in the settled systems that powers itself from lightning.
I wonder how deep the oceans are here. They seem impossibly deep.
Have I mentioned that I am not fond of seafood?
Neon's got an energy to it like no other. Personally, I think Neon's the heart of the Freestar Collective.
Ah, Neon. Instant sensory overload.
While we're here, you better stay off the Aurora. You don't want that drug scrambling your brains.
Best to stay focused if you can. Stick to your business. Getting drawn into diversions here is more dangerous than you'd expect.
There are a ton of distractions in Neon, so I expect you to be on your best behavior here.
Lights, glitter, and a whole lot of sin. Well, there's no way in hell I'm letting Cora land here.
Some would say this place represents all the worst impulses of humanity.
Akila City's hostile wildlife is outside the walls. But Neon's hostile wildlife is certainly within them.
Neon. Some people love it. But I spent too much time trying to stop bad guys here. Whole place just gives me a headache. Look out for gangs. Actually, the gang should look out for us.
Careful screwing with the security around here. These idiots aren't quite as honest as the Freestar Rangers.
Every smuggler I have ever worked with had a perverse affection for this place. I do not understand it.
I understand why people settled here, but it's not really my style. Feels more like a trap than a diversion to me.
I do admire what Bayou has built for himself here.
Quick piece of advice. We hear the name Benjamin Bayou, and we should duck the other way. Fast.
Neon. I've heard some wild tales of this place. Not sure how much of those tales are true, though.
Neon's dangerous, but man, can it be a lot of fun.
Let's, stay away from Ebbside. The locals there don't exactly appreciate the tourists.
Folks in Neon have a rough time. They need to balance a potentially healthy trade with the interests of those who want to cross a line for incredible profit. Difficult to say the least.
Once upon a time, Neon was just a fishing platform. Then came the chasm bass. Damn fish changed everything.
I wonder how many poor souls who couldn't make it in New Atlantis ended up working at the fisheries in Neon.
Anywhere else, a fish processing plant would be no big deal. But that's Bayou's River of Gold.
Here's where the magic happens. And by magic, I mean creating Aurora out of fish guts, I guess.
You know, I tried Aurora once. I did not enjoy the experience.
If you got a thirst for, something, Neon can deliver.
Neon is for indulgence and decadence. I am both disgusted and impressed.
If you want to take some time to relax here, I get it. Just don't get too lost in the distractions. We have a lot to do.
There's nothing in the settled systems quite like Neon. Crazy, terrible, but never dull Neon.
While we're here, you might want to stay away from the edge of the upper platform. It's a long way down.
I imagine the pile of debris and remains from the city has started to build up in the ocean below the city. Maybe one day it will breach the surface like a conglomerate garbage island.
Ugh. I do not understand how anyone can tolerate the lights and the music for long.
I don't know if I can ever live in a place like this, but Neon's great to visit.
Chaos. That's Neon in a nutshell. Sometimes delightful, sometimes bewildering, sometimes stressful.
We should stick to the main plaza. Unless you like getting soaked by the rain.
Oh, the whole place smells of fish. You would think that would keep people away.
People are motivated by all sorts of things, even things that aren't necessarily good for them. Otherwise, nobody would be on Neon, I think.
Neon, where every vice can be indulged, and they make up new vices every Thursday.
Security cares far more about what you take with you when you leave Neon than what you bring into it.
There should be a sign, dump your Aurora here. You'd make a fortune if you put a net right under here, I'm not even kidding.
Let us stick to business here, and hopefully business has nothing to do with Aurora.
If we want to find a place to stay while we're here, I've heard that the Hotel Voli is top-notch.
See that huge shield? It's part of the power system. Lightning provides a substantial amount of Neon's energy.
Best kept secret in Neon. I need to get some noodles for Cora. She goes crazy for him.
Benjamin Bayou's tower. It's big, all right. Not sure what else it is, but it's big.
If Benjamin Bayou's ego was as combustible as helium-3, he'd be able to provide enough fuel to power every ship in the settled systems.
Benjamin Bayou is so not compensating for anything. Egomaniac.
We're going to be visiting the Astral Lounge while we're here. I mean, that's a given, right?
The Astral Lounge. Not really my cup of tea, as it were, but I'll follow your lead.
Astral Lounge. I mean, confession time, I used to blow off some steam there. Bad idea.
The Astral Lounge spared no expense with their marketing, huh?
Well, with all signs pointing to the Astral Lounge, I suppose we should pay it a visit. Purely for exploratory purposes, of course. It's shameful how Neon treats its lower class. How can someone be expected to live comfortably in conditions like this?
I mean, the stretch is no picnic, but the sleep rates are just depressing.
Ryujin sure invested a lot into this building, and in Neon.
There is little question that Ryujin has some influence here in Neon. I wonder how Mr. Bayou feels about that.
Ryujin is textbook megacorp. And that's not a compliment.
I don't know much about the Ryujin Corporation, but they certainly appear to be doing very well for themselves.
Ryujin's brand goes into everything they do, even the plants in their corporate atrium.
I have to admit, I'm a bit jealous of Ryujin's gorgeous design aesthetic. Or perhaps I should have their architects renovate the lodge.
Ryujin has certainly taken time to craft an appearance for itself.
Madame Sauvage's place looks cozy. If we're going inside, better keep an eye on your cred stick.
Madame Sauvage. She's a player. Big player around here. Looks tough in there, but it's neutral territory for the gangs.
Mars, eh? You always take me to the nicest places.
This is where it all began. Where we first started colonizing more than Earth.
Oh, Cydonia. Check your suit seals. Martian dust gets everywhere.
Best way to get all this Martian sand and dust off you is to use powdered talc and brush it off.
It is interesting to recall that this is where humanity first reached out into the stars.
You can feel the age in history here.
Cydonia is a living archaeology site, in a way. It was a foothold for humanity off of Earth during that critical time, and it carries that history with it to this day. Imagine being a person arriving from Earth all those years ago, stepping foot here, realizing that this was your new home. Some would be devastated, others exhilarated.
I might complain about landing here, but I have to admit there is a sort of hidden beauty to the Martian landscape.
Ah, Cydonia. I will be finding red dust in my clothing for days after we leave.
The Martian landscape sometimes feels more alien to me than planets in other systems that have never been explored. Must be the military presence.
This place is just dripping with that good old United Colonies flavor.
Oh, what a lovely view of the Martian sky. Frankly, I'm a bit surprised to find such a delightful spot in this rather drab city.
can never quite place the smell of Cydonia. Ozone and metal and something vaguely old and ill-kept.
Back in Cydonia. Ah, I cherish these visits to the forgotten corners of the United Colonies. Unless we're picking up parts at Deimos or digging for minerals, I hope you have a good reason for landing here.
Industry and the military. The true backbone of the United Colonies, no matter how they attempt to shape their image.
Being in UC territory always makes me nervous.
I respect the folks in the military individually, but being surrounded by them can be more stressful than being on a planet with no magnetosphere and a worn-out spacesuit.
Now you can see why UC Marines that get sent here consider this posting a punishment.
Sometimes it seems the UC does not remember its history is tied to this place.
The Red Devils. Lots of stories, terrible stories, about these guys. Of course, you ask a UC patriot, and they're all heroes.
I always wondered what it would be like to see these famed Red Devils in combat.
Man, you gotta give it to the Red Devils. They had class.
Cydonia may be rough around the edges, but it is utterly monumental for humanity.
Mars would be a whole lot better to visit if you can just bulldoze this place.
It's funny. I bet I've spent more time exploring the Martian surface than roaming around Cydonia itself.
I understand the mining jobs here can be quite lucrative, if you survive.
Cydonia is home to some hard-working folks for sure, but if you don't follow an expected prescribed path, then it's a hard place to call home.
We've been mining here for centuries, and still going strong.
The United Colonies asks much of its workers, and apparently offers rather little in return.
Look at all those soldiers. Makes you wonder how happy people are if you need that much military to keep it pacified.
Look at this place. I can't imagine being cramped down here, choking on the fumes and the dust. No trees, no grass. It's depressing.
Cydonia. The folks here work together to ensure that this place functions. And it does. Charm takes a back seat to order, but it's their chosen solution.
Cydonia's about as UC as you get. And that ain't a compliment.
I spent a good deal of time in the UC before joining the Lodge. It's been a while here. Oh, that was so long ago.
Ah, whenever I eat here, I cannot help but taste dust and dirt. I do not think I am imagining it.
Oh, I lived on Mars for an entire year, and I'm convinced I'll never get used to the dusty air.
Some of the first people who left Earth stood around here and wondered how they were going to survive humanity's most perilous moment. Astounding to imagine.
This place and its history. Well, gotta admit, it's impressive.
Look at the size of this cavern. I wonder how much of it's natural, and how much was carved out to accommodate Cydonia's mining operations.
If there were any doubt of Cydonia's importance to the United Colonies and its industry, this certainly puts it to rest.
This is the tip of a massive feat of engineering extending deep into Mars below us. Just wild.
Building Cydonia completely underground was a clever way of keeping the city shielded from the harsh Martian landscape.
I'd hate to live my whole life in a bubble. We still haven't really tamed Mars.
I wonder how different things would have been for humanity if Mars didn't exist. That first step away from Earth and the Moon would have been so much harder.
Everyone clamors over New Atlantis, but a place like this is what the UC is really all about.
This must lead to the miners' living quarters. I can't imagine having to live almost every waking moment underground.
Does it bring anything back for you? You were a miner, right? Hats off. Looks like a hard life.
I wonder if the Broken Spear is still open. It's the only decent place in town to grab a drink.
All the soldiers around here? Bad place to start trouble.
Cydonia. The UC clings to its old ways. I suspect the Sol system would be abandoned otherwise.
While we're here, we should definitely stock up on supplies at the exchange.
Deimos. They make one hell of a ship.
Did you know Deimos makes the majority of the ships for the UC Navy? If you ask me, that's a hell of a lucrative contract.
Deimos and the UC are inexorably tied together. If one fails, the other does. I might not mind seeing that.
Deimos should be dismantled at this point. Seems like it's more of a risk to keep around in its current state.
If it weren't for Deimos, the Freestar Collective would be safe and secure. They make a hell of a warship.
The UC's watching over this star yard like a hawk, so we should watch our step.
Deimos has certainly bound itself to the UC military, for better or worse.
Good old Deimos Star Yard. You won't find anything flashy here, but it'll get you where you need to go.
Oldest star yard still in business. Always pumping out ships for the UC to keep the colonies under their thumb.
Ah, Deimos. One of the earliest shipbuilders, and desperate to remain relevant.
Deimos is more than a star yard. It's a symbol of the UC.
Deimos builds some of the toughest ships in the settled systems. That's probably why the UC Navy continues to contract with them to this day.
The key. I cannot believe I'm here. I don't want to believe I'm here.
Visiting with the Crimson Fleet, eh? Always a pleasure.
So this is the key. I'm honestly impressed they managed to keep the thing operational.
The fact you came here voluntarily. That's it. You win the Nerves of Steel award.
I do not care what assurances you have been given that we are safe here. I do not trust the Crimson Fleet.
We just have to blend in, disappear, act like we belong.
While we're here, perhaps we should remain silent about my background with the United Colonies.
My father always said I'd wind up in a place like the Key. Guess he was right.
I have had enough dealings with the Crimson Fleet to know that we should both be very, very aware of our surroundings right now.
What? No welcome committee? The Crimson Fleet needs better marketing.
I know it's difficult to resist, but try not to pick any fights while we're here.
Come to the Key, you said. It'll be fun, you said. Right.
I appreciate that you may have business here. I would simply ask that you conclude it quickly.
There's a lot of history here. Not the good kind.
Huh. Smells like sweat machines and pine. You're picking up pine too, right?
You know, I've always wondered, if someone made a mess on this station, would anyone even notice?
Whew. I never, ever imagined I'd be in the heart of the Crimson Fleet.
There are UC bureaucrats that must be furious that this station has become what it is today.
If they don't have a gift shop that sells key rings, they're missing a golden opportunity.
Interesting. Exposed wires here, a little rust there. What a unique way to decorate. Look at the state of this place. It's amazing the key is still in one piece.
Thank God Cora isn't here. God, who am I kidding? That girl probably love it here. She's crazy that way.
It is almost impressive that the Crimson Fleet has managed to maintain this place.
Oh, you take me to the nicest places. I can't believe this is the Crimson Fleet's headquarters. It's just so unlike them.
This station is well outside my wheelhouse. You'd best do all the talking.
The Key is just about the most dangerous place in the galaxy. Well, maybe a black hole, but the Key is second.
Be sure and check your pockets when we leave. Be certain you still have everything in them.
You know, aside from the frightening populace and the gloomy aesthetic, this place isn't so bad.
Better to stop here than down on the surface of Suvorov.
If it's all the same to you, let's leave the Key as soon as we can.
Pirates and alcohol. What could go wrong in a place like this?
Folks here may seem strange and menacing, but they're just regular folks like us, who happen to be strange and menacing.
I must admit, this is exactly what I pictured a haven for pirates to look like.
You can feel the misery already.
Wow. Clearly we should have practiced our grumpy pirate faces a bit more before arriving.
This is exactly what I pictured of the Crimson Fleet. Except parrots. That and eye patches.
Ugh, there are a good many places I would rather be right now. This place even smells like deceit. We should make our business quick.
Do the Crimson Fleet have a plank? In case anyone wants to go for a walk.
Yeah, just ignore me. I am so a pirate. Yarr. That's what they say, right?
The Crimson Fleet is not to be trusted, no matter your relationship with them.
Good old Earth. The original mudball.
It's NASA. It's actually NASA. This is one of the towers that got us to safety among the stars.
Some of the earliest space flights were likely coordinated from here. Strange to be standing on such a unique bit of history.
Unless I'm mistaken, that's one of the launch towers used during the evacuation of the Earth. I can't even imagine the chaos.
This is history. This is where they figured it out. The hard science the settled systems was built on.
Imagine if they hadn't been able to convince people to invest this much. I wonder if humanity would still be here.
NASA was very proud of all that it accomplished. I suppose they had a right to be.
I am literally shaking. This is amazing. NASA. Wow.
And rooms like this across the globe, scientists figured out how to save our species. These are the heroes.
Oh my goodness. Some of the artifacts here are from the earliest years of NASA. Oh, what a shame all of this was left behind to deteriorate.
This whole place belongs in a museum. Heck, it is a museum.
It's amazing to think that we're standing on the same planetary body where humankind first ventured into space. We've come a long way since then.
This is genuine NASA tech. Whew, goosebumps.
The vigilance, a beacon of order and righteous wrath to some, a symbol of revenge to others.
Commander Ikonde runs a tight ship, so I suggest we be on our best behavior.
SysDef. So much fun.
I am told that the United Colonies Marines are very well trained. I have not seen them in action, but I am curious.
The Vigilance is an amazing ship. Oh, it's too bad Constellation can't afford something this impressive.
Commander Ikonde is reasonable. Within limits. If you're not reasoning for the Crimson Fleet, anyway.
I think I have some outstanding parking tickets. They don't care about that, right? Right?
I cannot wait to see how the UC is throwing its weight around today.
Boarding a vessel like this certainly brings back memories.
The vigilance, indeed. So many of these fine folks joined SysDef due to tragic circumstances.
I cannot believe I'm on a SysDef command ship. Yay.
Be careful you do not track mud on the floors. You would not wish to tarnish this hospitable environment.
It's a shame the United Colonies built such an impressive ship for battle, instead of using it for exploration.
Without the vigilance, I'm sure the Crimson Fleet would have been the only game in town.
Being here on the Vigilance, I feel literally queasy.
I have no particular love for the UC, or their bravado.
In the belly of the beast. Kinda drilled into me young the Marines are the boogeymen.
Look at all of this. UC SysDef certainly isn't taking the Crimson Fleet threat lightly.
Ugh, you can practically hear the sound of credits being wasted.
Commander Ikonde is a brilliant captain, pragmatic and determined. He plays a long game.
These are the good guys, right? Please tell me SysDef are the good guys.
Everything about this ship just screams superiority complex to me.
Tayo. The mecca for folks that prefer style over substance.
Tayo vessels certainly look impressive, but it's what's inside the engine room that really counts.
Tayo knows how to make stellar ships. Pun intended.
I never found Tayo ships to be as reliable as I would like. Clearly, my experience is not universal.
I know Tayo's got a rep for being pure style, no substance. But man, their ships are beauts.
Tayo vessels have some real cutting-edge tech. I've always wanted to see what makes their ships tick.
If you want a flashy ship, you want a Tayo ship.
Tayo always seemed more style than substance, but clearly it appeals to some.
Tayo makes ships that have style, and Stroud-Eklund makes ships that have substance. The age-old choice.
Stopping at the clinic to do a bit of xeno research, eh? Count me in.
The clinic's a bit of a legend in the medical field.
They used to be more of a trauma center, but now the clinic focuses on xenoviruses and such.
I have never required treatment here, and I hope that I never do.
If anyone knows how to contain infectious diseases, it's these fine folks. so I'm not worried. But I wouldn't mind picking up the pace.
The clinic's an amazing place. On the cutting edge of medical research. See what I did there? Cutting. I know it's a dad joke.
If you were to find yourself a patient here, would the impressive facility offset the uniquely dangerous nature of your ailment?
I've been to some planets that made me think my next stop would be here. But so far, so good. Haven't been here since Irvin died. When he arrived, it was too late, but they tried. That's the Red Mile over there. I bet we can detect the adrenaline from here.
The Red Mile. I never understood why anyone would voluntarily run it. Thrill junkies, I guess.
I think I could do quite well on the Red Mile. I think together, the two of us could do very well.
If you want to try the Red Mile, well, I'm game.
Please tell me you're not going to make us run the Red Mile.
The Red Mile has always had a complicated place in our society.
Before the Red Mile blood sport thing, this used to be a decent place. Now,
People betting over other people's very survival. Absolutely revolting.
I don't have the stomach to bet if somebody survives the Red Mile, personally. To each their own.
we're either being brave or very, very stupid. And that should be the tagline for the Red Mile.
It has been some time since I have visited the Red Mile. Little has changed, it seems.
All the fun of Neon, plus betting on whether people are going to survive. Yep, these people are total winners.
Oh, just the thought of landing at the Red Mile was making me sick. Now that we're here, I'm almost at a loss for words.
Please, please tell me you aren't going to run the Red Mile.
I'm not saying the Red Mile is not a challenge, but I have seen much, much worse.
Is that Donovan Reese? Damn, guy's a legend. He's run the mile more than anyone alive.
Donovan Reese. He ran the Red Mile nearly 30 times. Most folks never survived once. The man would have been a hell of an explorer.
Paradiso, eh? God knows we could use a vacation. And a bit of pampering.
We here for some much-deserved R&R. Paradiso certainly lives up to its name.
I cannot recall ever having the time, let alone the funds, for a vacation someplace like this.
Paradiso. I've been saving for a week-long vacation with Cora. Swimsuits and Mai Tais. I'm counting the days.
When I was here for my honeymoon, we spent almost the whole time at the beach. And, well, the gourmet chunks. Wonderful memories.
I can see why this location was chosen for a resort. Very nice.
Oh, Paradiso is absolutely beautiful. Can you possibly imagine a more tranquil place for a resort?
I feel my bank account getting drained just standing here. How much is it for a night? No, don't tell me.
Never underestimate the desire for people to demand leisure, even in the most trying of times.
The beach, the sand, the sound of the ocean. Ah, this is wonderful.
An honest-to-God beach. Pinch me, I'm in heaven.
I never tire of seeing beaches on almost any planet.
I've tried to avoid Gagarin personally. For reasons.
Well, this looks cozy. I don't think we're going to find much excitement around here.
I hope Elliot's still taking names and holding people accountable around here. Gagarin has always been a bit of a pit in my stomach. I know it wasn't related to Irvin's death, but it happened right before he died, so the events were both emotionally linked to me.
Yuri Gagarin, one of the first to take the leap into space. Without him, we might not be standing here right now.
Fitting that the first people into space should be immortalized in this way. Were it not for the path they first walked, we would not be here.
Nobody can take away that. Those Russians made real history.
Seems like Hopetown sprang up out of nowhere. But it is really hopping, isn't it?
This was literally nothing until Ron Hope came here.
A fair amount of business runs through Hopetown, and from what I understand, most of it is legal.
Ron Hope certainly embodies the saying, spared no expense.
To think one man made all of this. Nothing was here until Ron Hope.
While we're here, we should swing by Hope Tech Star Yard and see if they have anything interesting for sale. I remember meeting Ron Hope once. Idealistic and perhaps a bit of a dreamer. But you have to admire what he's accomplished.
I don't care much for Hope Tech chips. Some people swear by them, though. Really rugged.
Smugglers always like to use Hope Tech ships to resemble legitimate transports. I wonder how the company feels about that.
Hope Tech is the everyday working person's ship.
I have never liked Hope Tech ships, though I suppose that is hardly the point of them.
The goal of Elios seems noble enough. I mean, we have to believe that other people can be better if we want to believe that all of humanity can be better.
I am skeptical of whether this retreat will achieve its goals, but I applaud their efforts.
Some people think this place is scary. It can be, for sure. But they're just regular people here. Some are good-hearted, others struggle with it. Always good to remember that.
Forgive me if I keep a knife at the ready while we are here. I am not sure rehabilitation can be a valid alternative to incarceration. But I would be happy to be proven wrong.
Tried it. You wouldn't catch me dead on one of the let-them-eat-cake ships.
I have heard much debate on whether Trident ships are overpriced. I have never flown one myself, so I cannot be sure.
Trident luxury lines. Well, they ain't cheap. But underneath all that gold inlay, they make damn good ships.
Trident survives on its reputation. I'm not brand loyal, personally.
So this is the Star Yard Walter can't stop talking about. I can certainly see why. It's a monumental operation.
The Star Yard of the future. This is where quality ships are made. And I don't just say that because it Stroud's business. It's just true.
Walter is very proud of his business. And he should be. His ships are very high quality.
Don't tell Walter, but his Star Yard is pretty incredible. He's no empty suit, that's the God's honest truth.
Walter's Star Yard has single-handedly disrupted the market. He's got a vision, that's for sure.
Stroud Eckland makes some of the finest ships in the settled systems. I'd love to get a look at their operations. New homestead, eh? This place hasn't changed much since the 2100s.
I can understand wanting to honor or even celebrate history, but this may take it too far.
Historically, New Homestead is significant to humanity in so many ways. But it wasn't a cakewalk.
I've always wanted to visit here. I've heard it's... charming.
Gotta hand it to these folks. They've decided that soul is worth fighting for.
It's not surprising that most of New Homestead is constructed underground. Just look at this horrible weather.
Home of the fragrant Prasada berry. You know, they've tried to cultivate that plant off-world, but it's just too delicate. Life is like that sometimes.
If you haven't tried some of the wine here, you are missing out.
I remember Barrett sharing a bottle of Chandra with me a year ago. Oh, best wine I've ever tasted.
I have never understood those who claim to be able to discern nuance in the taste of wine. It all tastes very similar to me.
Now this place. This looks nice. I could see myself retiring to somewhere like this one day.
This place has a colorful history. People here are tough as nails.
Even the quaintest little places have their own fascinating stories.
You've got to admire these people. Living on the fringe of technology like this is a tough choice.
I wonder, who was Cody and why did he choose this hill?
This place looks awfully prosperous.
Well, this certainly smells like a farm.
You can find farms like this all over the Freestar Collective.
It must be quite rewarding to work on a farm, growing and raising everything needed to survive. Believe it or not, I'm almost envious of their way of life.
Do you see us fortunate to have robots to do their farming? Very efficient.
So this is the mining colony where you picked up that artifact. I wonder why it ended up here in the first place.
Brings back memories, doesn't it, Dusty?
This is where Barrett found you, right? Well, welcome home, I guess.
Brings back a lot of memories from that day, right? That's why I don't retread old ground when I can help it.
Look at the scale of this operation. Oh, I'll never understand how Barrett was able to manipulate Argos into spending this much money to recover an artifact.
So this is where you were set on the path to Constellation, eh? Smaller than I expected.
Isn't this the same mine where you pulled your first artifact from the ground? I'm almost sorry I wasn't here to watch that happen.
Feels like a long time ago, doesn't it? Trust me, I know.
It appears things have gone downhill since the last time you were here. Argos has clearly washed its hands of this operation.
You worked for these people, right? Must bring back memories.
Feels weird being back here, doesn't it? Argos looks like they're moving on too.
Exploring these mining operations has given me a new appreciation for the risks Dusties take to make a living.
Poor miners. Just doing the mining thing. With the mining scanner doohickey. I know so much about mining, can you tell?
Securing the artifact here was worth a considerable effort. We also picked up a stellar new constellation member that day.
How fascinating. I've heard about these tunnel boring machines, but never had the opportunity to see one of them in person.
I hope this isn't bringing back hard memories. I know mining is a dangerous life.
What is this place? It's not on any surveys I know of.
Rough place. Gotta hand it to them, though. They're making it work.
This old mining colony looks more run-down than Ebside on Neon, and that's saying something.
There are always credits to be made from mining, even if they are barely enough to get by.
Oof, can't imagine living on the fringes like this. I think I'll stick to the comforts of New Atlantis.
Our future as a species in space thrives on hardy frontier folk like these.
I appreciate the desire for independence, but these people are quite vulnerable.
The UC did a hell of a job piecing this station back together after the Serpent's Crusade rolled through.
House Varun leveled this place. It's really never recovered.
This station is but a shadow of its former purpose. I do not like it here.
This station was rebuilt after it was destroyed by House Varun. It's unclear why they felt like rebuilding it was necessary, but they did.
This place looks well defended. We should watch our backs.
This is intriguing. A rather large amount of security for such a small place.
Anything this secluded and purposed exclusively by the military is no doubt used for some top-secret nonsense.
This is something. You hear about explorers finding old girls like this out there?
Fascinating. This is strangely archaic, yet not. I have so many questions.
Keep your weapon handy. We don't know who built this ship or why.
I have never seen one of these intact, let alone functional.
So this is Bautista Fellowship. Matteo told me the settled system's finest minds flock to this place.
A lot of smart folk graduated here. I feel, out of place.
Science nerds. My people.
Having this many scientists in one location seems like something of a security risk to me.